All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Symphogear!
Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah,
Gia?
Gia, yes. Of all of like the 12 Symphogear fans I've seen like in the wild, none of them ever call it Symphogear. It's always Gia.
Gia.
Yeah.
It's like Gios, but without the ass.
Kind of. Yeah. But so new show. As we don't really know much about this, but I know that there's some sympho and there's some gear. So basically I'm guessing probably mechs, and then I've heard that it's basically AMV the anime.
Yeah, I've heard basically everything that you've heard. I assume that because this is also something that is not really popular in the West, that we're going to see a lot of very flashy, stylish, just cool looking stuff, and then a lot of high school or school setting or just any kind of school something or other.
Yeah.
Battle school, mech training school,
Right.
fight school,
The
music school,
all of the above put together
something.
somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
The other things that I have heard about this is one thing that I'm not entirely sure of. I've gotten the vibe that it's at least idly inspired, even if it's not actually an idol show. So that will be interesting to see. I feel like that will be how it plays into whether the AMV aspect of it will be like with the music being like in universe canonically happening, like musical weapons or mechs are powered by music or something like that, or if it's just like in the background. But then also that this show is kind of a story behind it because it was a bit of a passion project that started out very small scale and then got more and more popular in Japan and not really getting as popular in the West, but so that the early seasons are kind of like that, like more indie project, like lower production values and things like that, and then it just gets better with each season. But
okay, well that's interesting. Looking forward to having our first big show though in a bros slot.
That's true,
which means that now I can do whatever I want.
Yep.
Literally,
I have opened Pandora's box.
I want, but we're gonna hold back on that so that we don't dump you all with
two big shows at the same time.
Super long shows.
Yeah,
exactly.
But here we are,
y'all. Without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below. Then come back here for the discussion. Holy shit.
Oh boy. Wow. All right.
We just got a whole world dumped on us like a bunch of bricks, like a cacophony of noise and music and battles and madness and very much, giving us an idea of what kind of things inspired this work here.
Right.
It's an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different things.
Absolutely.
Smashed all together.
Yep. It's great.
Yeah, we have, though, our main characters, so two different duos here. Kanade and Tsubasa. Kanade died.
Right.
But we have Hibiki and Miku.
Yep.
Who, one of them will die?
Yeah, the opening sequence was a bit confusing because they went 2 years back, but then they said back to the present, but then Hibiki was still alive.
But she's also hanging out with her friend.
So it wasn't even something where it's like, ooh, this is some secret school or whatever to secretly teach you, like, to fight or whatever.
What might be the case is that there's aspects of this world that are meant to be, mysterious at the initial bit. And because we have a sci-fi setting, but also a fantastical power, meaning that there are things that could have been done there that will be paid off much later down the line. But right now it's a mystery. Something happened there that kept her alive, for one. Not just the fact that she was looked over by, surgeons and stuff. And they took care of her physically.
But who knows, maybe it had something to do with the performance.
Well, not only that, something transformed her.
Yep.
She now has the Forte symbol on her chest. She also has a power within that's awakening that's very similar to the battle suits, but this is different. This is a biological change.
Well, and
that came about because of the singing, but
since we don't know exactly how the battle suits work for the singers when they have a bunch of like, you know, people helping them and
Right.
you know, a lot of all this extra sort of scaffolding and support systems for it.
Yeah.
This might be just sort of like that in its natural unassisted element.
Raw state.
Yeah. But okay.
That awakened.
Yep.
That awakened because she sang.
Right. And as far as setting up basically the vibe for the show. I'm so clever. But also just like, okay, yeah. We're hitting a lot of the tropes and things.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say beats, but no, missed opportunity.
Yeah, okay, missed opportunity. But you know, yes, we've got the sort of the power system established. We've, you know, even down to you can do a final aria, you know, swan song like crazy attack that I'm sure will go out with a bang, and I'm sure that will be used to great effect in the future, both for emotional beats, but also for like awesome combat moments. But then, yeah, we have our main protagonist, you know, who's the, you know, more timid girl that then the power is awakening and all that stuff, and now she's probably gonna
within,
right, exactly, and now she's probably gonna go on some crazy new adventure as she gets, you know, roped into all of this stuff that's going on with people with, you know, crazy designs and ridiculous eyebrows and all of that stuff.
Right.
Awesome. Well, at the same time, there being a high school setting. Cool. Why not?
Specifically a music school, though. The idea that it's a music academy feels like the perfect setup for the secret society of how they recruit the girls to, well, then become a part of the battle suit side of things.
Right, because apparently the news didn't include anything about the singers fighting.
Yes, exactly. Which is curious, because then in a lot of ways, if they're celebrities and they like are known to be that popular, I understand maybe if you would maybe like want that separation a little bit, but because everyone knows about the noise, like that's a very real, present, everyday threat. I feel like you'd want to bolster morale of the people by letting them know that you have these super-powered, you know, people that are going to help.
Could fight the noise, you know.
Yeah. Now, what I'm guessing is that it's not something that's just anyone can do it. That's why there's no forced conscription or anything like that.
And that's probably why the concerts are still so important, because then all the people that basically lack the gift can go on and still help, because we could see that it was like helping charge them up or giving them juice or whatever.
Yeah, it was doing something, but the weird part about that was that was more focused on the relic, not on them. Because they weren't in their suits. Because what we thought was that this was going to be mech focused, but because they're in suits, there are things that they bring upon themselves almost individually.
Right.
It's not something that they put on, like they go and literally put it on. It's the song like channels it out.
Very magical girl transformation.
Yeah, magical girl transformation. Then if that's the case, then this relic is something that's tied to the grander world building, you know, what is the noise? What is the method by which we have the ability to use these battle suits and stuff? That part awakened because of the chaos of the
situation.
the whole situation.
Yep.
But then we also got at the end of the episode another awakening through Hibiki.
Yeah.
So
and I do
connection?
Yeah, I think there's a connection there, and I also like how we basically got that that coming full circle in the very first episode of another situation where there's a girl who can't defend herself, there's noise coming and all that stuff, and even though this is something that, you know, like she has no reason to believe that this would happen, right? That she would have this awakening, right? This was in a lot of cases her own swan song, right? And yet, hey, apparently you do have some latent powers and stuff, and then those awaken, and now it's probably going to be a bunch of kicking ass, and it'll be great.
It's probably something to do with the Forte symbol on her chest. And my guess is that all the other girls that are involved in this have something like that as well.
Yeah. Now that could
Tsubasa's the only one we know of right now that's alive, but
now it could just be that it's like, oh, that was just a leftover bit from when the surgeon saved her or whatever, and that's it's
just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence, right? You know, that that could totally be it. But it seems like it's probably more than that.
Yeah.
There were also a lot of things that were sort of given to us in this episode that felt like, all right, world building stuff that's not important now, but it's going to be important later.
Important later.
Like the Japanese girl that ended up getting like
Found after a South American,
some kind of
whole
guerrilla
war.
war movement or something like that.
It's like, huh,
okay,
sure,
all right. And then in addition, the whole thing of the fact that it cold opens with Miku being like, "Oh, you're dead," but at the same time, your song continues, or like
I heard you sing blood gushing from your mouth, and yet you continue to sing, and it's
right.
like, so is this the end of the series, basically just being given right there?
Right, because maybe when it says going back to the present day, it doesn't mean like the actual like exact present day. It's like, a few months beforehand or something like that.
Or maybe this incident that's happening right now, where she sings, and the city gets wrecked. Maybe it's not wrecked by the noise. Maybe it's wrecked by Hibiki.
Sure, because the blood coming from her mouth makes it seem like she was in a situation where she does another actual final aria.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, another one.
Or another in context to the fact that the other girl, Kanade, did one, and we saw the blood coming from her mouth and everything as she sang.
Right. Okay. I could definitely see that being the case, and that there's something about this awakening that has her run rampant, and that's why maybe they have to fake her death. Is that it's something where it's like, oh, no, she is going to die.
Right.
But we can't let everyone know the reason why she died. So we'll put her on the KIA, MIA.
Oh, no, tragic accident.
Whole thing there. But then that would mean she'd need to leave the music academy. So before I jump into weird alternate realities and the final swan song rewriting time or memories or any kind of shit like that.
He goes full Madoka,
Yeah, exactly. Because I totally could see this show doing that already.
Absolutely.
With the way the music stuff blends into the actual
like mechanics of powers and everything.
Yeah.
And that there's a very good possibility that when Kanade did her final song, that was what made it so that now Hibiki will be able to, have that latent power and stuff like that.
There could be an essence of Kanade that like literally transferred into her in order to save her.
Right.
Another thing that I really want to draw attention to here from a kind of a weird loose connection thing is that by calling the enemy, the monsters, noise, what I really love about this is that noise is not harmonious. It is chaotic and
it's the noise that on the old TVs.
Right. It's static. It's basically the stuff that goes in and it kills the potential for the music to shine through.
Sure.
So noise being chaos, and then you have music, which is ordered noise. It is noise made into art, basically.
Yep.
I love those forces as being the two things that clash against each other, because one of the things that a lot of people will debate, this is a very interesting debate to talk about, but is the idea of lyrics versus the literal music.
Sure.
But in this story, so far, there is no physical reason as to why there is actual music coming from the actual in-canon world right now. We hear them sing, and they sing notes, right? So that's where the music comes from. But they're not like...
Right, unless there's something about like the suits or whatever that also generates the music.
They're not generating their own... It only comes from their voice.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
All right.
And I'm not trying to say that that's not music just because it's not from an instrument.
But that might be world-building implications based on the fact that they're fighting the noise.
Exactly. And my thought with this is that in magical, fantastical worlds, spells are almost always activated by words.
Sure, yeah.
So what could be happening here is that the songs that they sing are actually like mean something in the lyrics themselves. Like
that's possible. It's the show.
It's irrelevant, not like how they're singing.
Right.
It's what they're singing, maybe.
I could see that being the case, and at the very least, with the style of singing did seem to have some connotation to what kind of abilities it would grant. They were like, oh, this is this particular type of singing, and then she got like the thorn whips and all of that stuff, right? Like it was a very different transformation that she had than say Kanade or Tsubasa.
Yeah, it was more like she screamed really then fully like sang as well.
Well, in the beginning, it seems very much like a regular like song.
Yeah, but did she actually like give any like hard like? No, she did sing some words. Let me listen to that for a second here because I want to know if she sang anything that was like noticeably. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the same initial sounds of the swan song, the final song?
Oh, I have no idea.
But like, we could check for a split second.
We could
here.
But regardless of the things of what they of the specifics that we have within this episode, the basically they can take this however they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is different, but it definitely created the same background effect.
Sure, they do very specific
The
effects
reverb on the
okay
thing there. They
gotcha.
was the same.
But like as far as the idea of like the noise, chaos, order, singing and the voice, the spoken word and all of that stuff. Like I feel like this is the kind of series where I could totally accept it as just rule of cool. Don't think about it too much, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great display and it's gonna be really entertaining. Or there's also that bit there for the super fans of like you could totally read into this, right? And try and extrapolate all these extra things from it.
I just have to bring up the fact that I think the biggest point of comparison of like any inspiration that's probably the biggest inspiration for anything like this kind of in Japan is Evangelion.
Sure.
So there's going to be something deeper about it.
That's
totally guaranteed.
Okay.
It's just a question of what point do they actually like.
At what point is it just no? I made them crosses because I thought that would look
exactly,
cool.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then that just sparks the whole death of the author conversation of like hey, if it's art, right? If you find something in there that the author didn't necessarily intend, right?
Yeah, but right. I'm just saying this could be literal world building because it's the first episode. So everything introduced in the first episode is very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But other than that,
fun first episode.
It's a really chaotically exciting, gripping first episode with no real like crazy breather time outside of maybe that little sweet moment of when they're characterizing, like the character is literally talking about Hibiki and being like, oh, that's because you're 50%,
right.
this and then 50%.
Yeah, you always
that.
lend people your textbooks and stuff, and
right.
Yeah.
And
right.
that was fun to be like, okay, I get what you're doing here.
I'm very curious to see how they juggle the high school life and the fighting.
Yeah.
Because that was like, if this episode had a lot in it. Like, granted, it didn't have like an OP and an ED as much, right? It had the end credits at the very, very end, but I wouldn't have been surprised if the high school bit just wasn't a thing introduced in the first episode, right? Where they just had like the fighting and all that stuff and then the power awakening at the very end. But like, we had a lot of different things introduced to us for kind of showing us what direction the show wants to take moving forward.
Yeah. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.